Now, over the pond in Hollywood, my old hometown, it's all been happening. There's been a big bust-up over a movie called It Ends With Us, starring the director and actor Justin Baldoni and his co-star, the actress Blake Lively. Blake Lively has launched some serious legal action with harassment complaints against him. Saying that, you know, she was sexually harassed and mistreated on the set of this film, presided over by Baldoni. He has countersued an 87-page lawsuit suing the New York Times for running the story of what Blake Lively claims happened to her. Basically, it's getting more and more heated by the day. It is a story that has Hollywood on the edge of its seat. Let's talk to get a kind of perspective on this and the kind of case that it is. Let's talk to media lawyer Mark Stevens. Welcome, Mark.
Welcome. Lovely to be with you, Kevin, and grab your popcorn, I'd say.
I think you're right. Now, this, of course, started a month or so ago where Blake Lively launched this action, basically saying that she was mistreated, she was sexually abused, that she alleges that Baldoni, you know, brought his mates in for some of the more intimate scenes to watch, and that they went into her trailer while she didn't have much on, and so on and so forth. So there's no love lost between these two. Now, Justin Baldoni has responded by actually suing the New York Times for running the story of what Blake Lively alleges, which he says is not true. It's an 87-page lawsuit. What do you think is going on here? I mean, he clearly feels he is being wronged and that she's not telling the truth, but surely she wouldn't launch this action unless something happened to her. It's a perplexing situation.
It certainly is. And, of course, you know, we don't know the ins and outs of it, but I have spent some time looking at the papers and trying to understand it. And what happens is that in employment law in most countries of the world, most civilized countries, we have a public interest disclosure. That means that if you're being sexually or physically or bullied or harassed at work, you can make that disclosure, as Blake Lively did, to the Californian authorities. And it was that report of those things that then appears in the New York Times. And it goes with some additional material, which is that in response to that claim, as yet unadjudicated by Blake Lively, it is suggested that Wayfarer, the producers of the film, James Heath, and Justin Baldoni, essentially tried to wreak a revenge on her through PR. And as a consequence of that, that's one of the things you can't do. Normally in America, as you know, free speech is all. But one of the areas you can't go into is you can't essentially get revenge for someone reporting you to the authorities for an adjudication as to whether you've done wrong. And so what's happened is that Justice Baldoni has sued the New York Times. Well, I don't expect that case to be around very long. Essentially, it's a fair report of the legal proceedings in California of Blake Lively reporting it to the authorities. So I think that case is going to get dismissed very quickly. The more interesting case is the case that Blake Lively then brought about retribution. So she sues a second time, if you like, the Wayfarer and James Heath and Justin Baldoni in New York for revenge, and essentially saying that's not allowed. Now, that's a real problem, because if there's any substance in the allegations that Blake Lively made, that namely that he brought in, or they brought in, PR people to traduce her reputation, to do her down, essentially to get their retribution in first, then we're going to see disclosure of all of that. We're going to see all of the communications with the PR person coming out, and of course their subcontractors, who some people may have noticed that there was quite a lot of social media activity towards the end of last year and the beginning of this. And so a lot of the allegations are that that was inauthentic in the sense that it was generated and ginned up by PR people and social media manipulators. So this has got a long way to run. I think it's interesting that Baldoni's agent has already sacked him. And I think that we're going to see a lot of blood on the carpet here. But I think on the papers I'm reading, I think Baldoni's going to be on a losing ticket here. Blake Lively's already got one of the best lawyers in America, the best trial lawyers in America, a guy called Mike Gottlieb from Wilkie Farr on his team, and Brian Frieden, who's a well-known media lawyer but not a great trial lawyer, is up for Baldoni and Wayfarer and James Heath.
What do you think about the tactics? The reason that Baldoni, the interpretation of why Baldoni has sued the New York Times is this, that he needed to get something concrete in his corner to respond to Blake Lively's original allegations, because if you don't, those original allegations will kind of fester and everybody will take them to be true. So his best way of getting something going quickly was to sue the newspaper. And as you say,
right. The problem with that is
for hundreds of millions of dollars, I don't think he's going to see a thing.
Million, but that's what they do in America. Nobody ever gets it. But the reality of that is that's all a good tactic if you're going to get it down to trial, if you can keep this case going. But they have some very interesting summary judgment rules in America, which means that the defendants, the New York Times, will be able to knock this out very quickly. And you know, as an experienced journalist, if you write a fair report of what's in the court case, then you're essentially immune from prosecution. The person may not like what you've said, but it's a genuine report of it, and we allow that in a free society. So I think Blake Lively could end up not only having his case thrown out, which won't look very well in the long term.
You mean Baldoni?
Paying the legal costs of the New York Times, which is unprecedented in America.
Yeah, you said Blake Lively, you meant Baldoni.
Sorry, Baldoni, yeah. Sorry.
OK, we can just quickly, to finish here, Mark, we can do that because we're not in America right now. We can prejudge the case. Which way do you think it's heading? Do you think Lively's onto a winner here?
Yeah, I think Blake Lively's going to win. I think Baldoni, Wayfarer and James Heath are going down for the third time, and they'll probably become persona non grata in Hollywood unless they settle this case up quickly.
Tell you what, we should buy up the rights to this and we'll make a Hollywood movie of it. What do you say?
Definitely. There's a sequel coming too.
Mark, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Mark Stevens, their media lawyer. Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. It is really kicking off. Interesting what Mark says, that Blake Lively, he thinks, will win this case. How can I put this? Blake, stories seem to follow her around. I mean, she does seem to attract headlines. She's one of those people. But Mark saying that he thinks she's got a very strong case here, and that perhaps Justin Baldoni, in suing the New York Times, is clutching at straws. So, fascinating case, a real-life courtroom drama, if you like, over there in the States.